Well, hi, hello there. Welcome or welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is JJ and I love wrestling. And this episode today is going to be all about love because this is in fact my very special surprise 40th birthday episode. That's right, it's my 40th birthday and I didn't have any plans. So I thought who better to spend my birthday with than here with all of you on the channel, because I am so grateful for each and every one of you who has subscribed, who likes the videos, who leaves comments, who engages in my community tab, as well as those of you who have followed me over on Instagram and engage with me over there. It means so much to me, and I'm just very grateful and very happy to be able to come here and make this space with each of you and talk about something we all love, which is wrestling. And so when I was thinking about what I wanted to do for my birthday video, I thought what better than to come up with a list of 40 of my favorite wrestlers of all time. And then for good luck in my coming year, I wanted to add one additional wrestler to the list. So we're going to round it out with JJ's 41 greatest wrestlers of all time. Now that's a big title, I know, so let me set your expectations right from the beginning. This list represents my favorite 40 wrestlers plus one, okay? There are easily a dozen wrestlers I could have and would have added to this list if I had more slots to work with. But I spent about 3 weeks really thinking every single day about this list, adding people, moving people off, thinking like, why is that person a wrestler that I love? Some folks ended up coming off the list. For example, I ended up taking John Cena off the list. Why? Because I realized I love John Cena as an actor and I love John Cena as John Cena more than I love him as one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So Cena had to come off the list so someone else could get that spot. So that being said, you might not agree with a single entry on this list. There might be people on this list you've never even heard of. That's okay, because this is my special list. And what I would love for you to do is go down into the comments below or go over to that community tab on my YouTube page or even over there on Instagram. And I would love you to let me know what your top 10, 20, 30, 40 favorite wrestlers of all time are. I think it would be really cool and a wonderful birthday gift if we could all have a good, fun conversation, a loving conversation about our favorite wrestlers and why we like them. So feel free to go ahead and drop that down below. Also, this list is not in numerical rank. I actually made my full list and then I put it into a randomizer and I had it randomize the order because it would be impossible for me to give you a ranked order of my number one favorite wrestler of all time. I just can't do it. I am too autistic. I love everyone for a million different reasons. And so in my perception, I imagine all 41 people on this list to be on completely equal footing in my heart. Okay? And then one additional caveat, because of the world we live in today, where we know way too much about some of these people, this is not an endorsement of the personal character or personal lives of anyone on this list outside of the ring. If they've committed crimes, if they've had controversies, I have not considered that here. I'm looking at them as a wrestler. Their work in the ring, their moveset, their character work, their promo cutting, the way they handle themselves with fans, that is kind of what I have been looking at. Some people on the list might have controversial pasts or presents, okay, but I just wanted to make a fun video, so let's all just be nice to each other. All right, that being said, we are 4 minutes and 30 seconds in. Let's jump into this list. Now, I'm not going to give you an exhaustive breakdown of each of these persons' careers, or I'm just going to tell you who they are, some of the promotions they've wrestled in, show you a picture of them so we're all on the same page, and then maybe or maybe not ramble about why I like them. So, and again, remember, this list is 100% randomized. I did not pick this order. So the first wrestler on my list of 40 plus 1 greatest wrestlers of all time is Will Ospreay, the aerial assassin himself. You know him from New Japan, Rev Pro, AEW. I think Will Ospreay will go down in history as one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I've said it before. This kid has it all. I am always super, super happy and pleased to see him in the ring, watching him on New Japan and working his way through different parts of the UK indies, coming over to AEW, and then his time now going back into New Japan. It's just, I think Will Ospreay is one of the best to do it. So that is our first entry, Will Ospreay. The second entry on my list is the one, the only Mad King, Eddie Kingston. You might know Eddie Kingston from all the way back in the day in Shikara. He's in AEW, he's in Ring of Honor. I love Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston is either a wrestler you love or you don't understand. But Eddie Kingston is a wrestler that every single time he gets on the mic, I wonder if Eddie understands that this is a work. Right? The man is 100% heart, pure soul, pure spirit, never gives up. Eddie Kingston reminds me of all my uncles standing out back at the family party when I was a kid, that you say, "Hey, what are you up to lately, Uncle Eddie?" And they say, "Nothing, kid, just surviving." Eddie Kingston, I think, is an absolute gem of wrestling, and that is why he is on my list. Next, we have Mina Shirakawa. You know her, you love her. Stardom, New Japan Strong, now on AEW, various other places. This is a Gravaro wrestler who has really built herself out over the years to become one of my favorite women's wrestlers. I just think she has a great look. She has great energy. I always love seeing her in the ring. And if you follow the channel, you know I'm a huge fan of Japanese wrestling, and I just think Mina Shirakawa is a star. Moving on to another New Japan and AEW wrestler, we have Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker himself. I am an Okada girly. I think you're either a Takeshita girl or an Okada girl. I am an Okada girl. I have been watching Okada since the start of his career. I think everything he does is top notch. I love his character work. I think if you don't watch a lot of Japanese wrestling, especially in Japanese, you might not understand some of the character work that these Japanese wrestlers are doing when they come over to US-based promotions. I think Okada is extremely funny. He looks incredible in the ring. I wish Don Callis would go away because that man is my forever enemy, but Kazuchika Okada, he truly is, in my eyes, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Now we're going to move into a tag team. There are a couple of tag teams. That's not cheating. Okay, I'm counting them as one because they're a tag team. Okay, let's just all... That's fine. That's fine, right? So we're going to move into a tag team on the list, and this is, you've seen them on AEW, Ring of Honor, across the indies. This is the team of Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd, the Outrunners. I love everything about the Outrunners gimmick. The youngest men alive in wrestling today. My dad died in 2020 at the height of the COVID pandemic. And when I watch the Outrunners, I think this is some wrestling that I absolutely would have watched with my dad, who still had a permed mullet, who still wore his gold micro chain, who definitely spring braked at Daytona Beach way beyond he should have. And when I see the Outrunners, it makes me think so joyfully and with such pure spirit of my dad, Bruce. And they bring me so much joy. And they're both super funny and super kind. And that's why they belong on my greatest wrestlers of all time. Next on the list, we have Tomohiro Ishii from New Japan, one of the most prolific Japanese wrestlers of all time, in my humble opinion. I have been so lucky to see Ishii wrestle in person live multiple times through New Japan, through Forbidden Door connection with AEW, I never thought, as someone who literally grew up watching Japanese wrestling on bootleg tapes, I never thought I would ever get to see Tomohiro Ishii in the ring. And I have multiple times, and every time it is incredible. The man is a pit bull, and I love his work. I love the work he's done across different long-standing storyline fights he's had with some other people across promotions. If you're not familiar with Tomohiro Ishii, I absolutely recommend you go your little fingers on to YouTube right now after this video and look up some of his work. And from there, we have another tag team, and this is the tag team of the Inner City Machine Guns, which you may or may not be familiar with. This was a tag team between around 2012 to 2015. They were at Dragon Gate. They were across a variety of kind of indies and super indies. But if you don't know, this was the tag team of Ricochet and Rich Swann. These two men worked so expertly together. If you have not seen them work together, you need to go watch. And then after that, I want you to go and look at the most recent Global Wars Ring of Honor versus Maple Leaf Wrestling, their big pay-per-view. They have it on YouTube right now completely for free, where Rich Swann and Ricochet went up against each other in a one-on-one match. And this, I'm just going to put it out there, for me, I'm already saying is one of my top 10 matches for all of 2026. Ricochet and Rich Swann know each other so well. They understand each other's in-ring dynamic so well. They both are super aerialists, just flippers, kickers. They're both so strong and so similarly matched up in physicality. This was one of the greatest matches I've seen in a long, long time. And so coming in on my greatest wrestlers of all time, Ricochet and Rich Swann together in the duo of Inner City Machine Guns. And then moving on, we have, if you watch the channel, you're not going to be surprised because I talk about her in almost every single video. We have Emi Sakura, Shirangato Move Pro, AEW, WXM, Choco Pro. Emi Sakura stays booked and busy. She's wrestled everywhere in the world. She has been wrestling professionally for over 30 years and still looks incredible. I am someone who doesn't like to say someone is my hero or my idol. I have a hard time looking up to people because I don't like authority. But if I was going to say there's someone I look up to as a woman, it is Emi Sakura. She has not only been in some of the most prolific matches of all time, she has trained almost every single one of your favorite women's Japanese wrestlers. And if you don't know that, take it as fact. She has trained everyone. She has worked everywhere, started her own promotion to continue to give those opportunities to other women in the industry. I think Emi Sakura is one of the greatest to ever do it. Truly, beyond just my personal opinion, one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time. I will forever give Emi Sakura her flowers, and that's why she absolutely belongs on this list. From there, we have someone who transcends all promotions, Ring of Honor, WWE, AEW, TNA, Impact, and that is Samoa Joe. I love Samoa Joe. I'm a huge fan of Samoa Joe. I love everything Samoa Joe does. His character is funny as hell to me. It's so natural. It's so organic. No one ever will be better at just casually stepping out of the way of someone's biggest finisher move. The man has the most unusual energy in the ring. He's so cocky. He's always a little aggressive in a way that makes you think like prison shower aggressive. I love watching him wrestle. I love him doing a cannonball. There's nothing Samoa Joe can do in the ring that I'm not going to love every single time. Now, the 10th person on the list is Pac. WWE, AEW, Dragon Gate, Rev Pro, many, many indies. The man has been hurt, come back, buffer than Adonis himself. The man is ripped to the gods. He's the strongest he's ever been. He's doing some of the best character work I've ever seen him do. I don't know what happened when Pac cut that hair off, but it's like he set free 2 decades worth of baggage as a wrestler and just transformed from someone who was already incredibly good on every level to just a fucking machine. I think Pac is incredible. I have Pac in many of my fantasy bookings. I love watching him wrestle. I love what he's doing within the Death Riders over on AEW right now. I think Pac is great. He's one of the greatest to ever do it, in my opinion. From there, we have an AJPW and Noah legend, Kenta Kobashi. What can you say about Kenta Kobashi? The man is an absolute legend. If you're not familiar with AJPW, that's like the OG Japanese wrestling promotion. One of the best to ever do it. I just think Kenta Kobashi is a legend with a capital L. From there, the list has just got a lot of people all in a row here, but we move into Gato Move, Choco Pro, WXM, many promotions across all of Asia. Student and partner of Emi Sakura, we have Mei Suruga. I talk about Mei Suruga on the channel quite often in my WXM coverage. This to me is one of the best chaos gremlin wrestlers in women's wrestling. If you're only used to her presentation as kind of like sweet with the big wings and supporting the team, you need to go watch the wrestling she actually does in the ring. She has a vicious mentality hidden underneath all of that sweetness. She has an excellent moveset. She's so comfortable in the ring. And I love watching matches with her and people like Emi Sakura and Miya Yatsuba and other women that you know she has wrestled with and trained with for a long time because they work so perfectly off each other in the ring. A future legend, in my opinion, Mei Suruga. From there, we have an actual legend, an old-timer, as you might say, WWE, WCW, briefly in AEW, William Regal, a man who had many problems throughout his life, struggling with addiction, and continued to overcome them all, to pursue that dream, to pursue that passion. I think William Regal is someone who is underrated in the legend scene. I don't think he gets the flowers he deserved. He is well loved amongst some of your favorite wrestlers, and anytime there's a wrestler who's truly respected by other wrestlers, I always feel there's probably good reason for that behind the scenes. But beyond that, I love the character work William Regal did over the time of his career. I love the work he did in the ring. One of the very few authority figures in WWE when I used to watch it that I did like, that I did enjoy the character work, that he never irritated me. I loved the time he spent in AEW building up the Blackpool Combat Club, which eventually then turned into the Death Riders. I think that created such a pivotal momentum shift in the storytelling at AEW that we're still seeing the outcome of in matches today. William Regal, you're one of the best to ever do it, but you already know that. And then from there, we have one of William Regal's trainees, co-workers, partners, former faction member, Ring of Honor, WWE, AEW, New Japan, did some time over there in Japan, bouncing around. You may know him as Daniel Bryan. I know him as Bryan Danielson, one of the most vicious indie wrestlers of all time to make it to the big stage. One of the most slept-on wrestlers to ever do it in WWE, where WWE tried everything they could to bring this man down, and nothing they could do could deny what we all know to be true, and that is that Bryan Danielson is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time across any list, any year, any promotion. And yes, it is that serious. If I was going to make a list of top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time based on merit, not just vibes, Bryan Danielson would be in that top 5 list. I think this is what a legend is actually made of. I love everything he's done at every promotion he's been at, and I'm especially loving the work that he's done at AEW, where he came in and said very bluntly, I'm coming to AEW because there's a certain kind of wrestling I still want to do. I still want to see if I can do it against these younger, crazier guys. I want to be able to come out of the box of what people expect from me. He had an absolutely incredible run, some incredible, incredible matches in AEW, took that time out to heal, and now, honestly, is really killing it on commentary. Some wrestlers, they come back to do commentary, and they're just not good, but Bryan Danielson gets it. He loves wrestling, he loves wrestlers, and I think he truly is a legend. And then next on the list, we have Toni Storm, WWE, AEW, Stardom, kicked in around everywhere. Many, many, many gimmicks, many changed gimmicks over the years. Right now, her timeless Toni Storm gimmick, what she kind of rode out of AEW on, she's taking a little bit of time off right now. Very well deserved, because this woman works like a machine. This is just, in my opinion, one of the best to do it in the ring, not just on the women's side, on both sides. The character work is beyond pristine. Toni Storm is someone who I can see, if she wanted to transition out of wrestling, could become an Oscar-winning character performer. She is a phenomenal actress. She is cuts an absolutely incredible promo. She can carry character work and the storyline like almost no one else in the business. Toni Storm is a fully conceptualized wrestler who understands herself, her gimmick, the way she works, who she wants to work with, how she wants that creative to be presented, and Toni Storm is someone who brings folks up and along with her. I have an enormous amount of respect for Toni Storm. I truly, truly, truly think she will go down as one of the best women's wrestlers of all time. And if you don't like Toni Storm because you're a tribalist AEW hater who just wants to shit on her gimmick, it's because you've not watched it and you don't understand. And I'm tired of you disrespecting these wrestlers because you don't like who their boss is. These people break their backs for you. And all of these people are friends behind the scenes. They train together, they work together, and I guarantee you they're not impressed by your weirdo parasocial tribalistic behavior. So keep Toni Storm's name out of your mouth in the comments. Anytime I talk about her, I get an influx of weirdo comments. But in my opinion, Toni Storm is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Now we have another tag team duo. This is a very legacy tag team duo that I hope you're familiar with. They wrestled at AJW, at GAEA Japan. This is, to me, one of the most prolific tag teams of all time. I have a video coming out about the 14 most successful tag teams in wrestling history, and they're on that list, so I'm not going to jump too much into them here, but this is the team of the Crush Gals. This is Lioness Asuka and Chigusa Nagayo, two absolutely incredible female Japanese wrestlers. They absolutely changed the landscape of what women's wrestling could look like, and they absolutely had such a critical role in bringing women's wrestling into the cultural mainstream in the 90s. If you don't know who these two legends are, please, please, please go type in Crush Gals or Crush Girls AJW 90s and watch some of their work, because they are literally the foundation of some of your favorite female wrestlers and your favorite tag teams of all time. From there, we have one of my top 3 wrestlers of all time. I'm willing to say it. He's in my top 3 wrestlers of all time. Jon Moxley, Dean Ambrose in WWE. You may know him as he spent a lot of time in New Japan. He's kicking it as one of the pillars now in AEW. I could do a 40-minute video about Jon Moxley, and I probably will, because I'm launching my series where I talk about individual wrestler profiles. Jon Moxley is hands down one of the most talented wrestlers on the mic in the entire industry. And if you disagree with that opinion or that statement, it's because you don't understand wrestling. and you don't understand storytelling. Jon Moxley is the most believable wrestler in all of wrestling today. In the ring, on the mic, in a video package, whether he's cutting a promo off the cuff, unplanned, or he's doing scripted, actual scenes for part of their promo packages. It does not matter whether this man is in front of a crowd in the United States or in Japan or anywhere else. He shows up consistently every time, puts in some of the best work I've ever seen in the ring, and does it with so much heart and so much integrity and so much authenticity. And as someone who refuses to live under anyone else's thumb, and who has lost a lot in my life for refusing to kind of roll over and take what I was given, when Jon Moxley left WWE, when Jon Moxley came out to everyone and said, I'm coming to AEW because I'm not done yet, when Jon Moxley came out and told all of us in the middle of that ring that he was struggling with addiction for the sake of his soul and his family, he needed to step away from wrestling and get help. And when Jon Moxley came back into that ring, those are the moments in wrestling that matter. Those are the moments that elevate someone from just a great wrestler to one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Yes, I'm emotional. That's because I really truly believe that Jon Moxley is everything he tells us he is. And if you have not read his book, I highly recommend it. It's incredible. It goes into so much detail about his time at WWE, his building out his true identity, his battling addiction, what it is to be a husband. It's a phenomenal book. I highly recommend it. Jon Moxley is my number 2 greatest and most favorite wrestler of all time. But in this randomized list, he's number 17. So let's keep going. From here, we have another WWE and New Japan standout. This is Shinsuke Nakamura. I think Shinsuke Nakamura is one of the most underutilized, underrated, underrespected wrestlers WWE has. I do not understand what they're doing or have done with this man. One of just a truly great Japanese wrestler in the ring, truly great Japanese character wrestler, great gimmick worker, great moveset. I love a very specific quality of character work and kind of movement that he brings to the ring from the kind of Japanese wrestling I grew up watching. I don't understand why Shinsuke Nakamura isn't at the top of the promotion in the work that he's doing. I would love to see him actually go somewhere where they're going to elevate him and let him lean into the character all the way. From here, number 19 on the list, you may know him as the Indian Eagle in WXM. I know him as Kevin Malik, who left a very prolific budding career and famously left his position in college in order to become a wrestler. I've been watching Kevin Malik, I think since like 2018, Wrestle Square, around there. Kevin Malik is an Indian wrestler, I think I already said on WXM. This kid is, in my opinion, and I've talked about it here on the channel before, I think in 3 to 5 years, this kid could be on the caliber of a Will Ospreay. If he stays true, if he continues to work on the character work, if he continues to build his confidence in cutting a promo and being in the ring, this kid has the foundations of excellence. And it's really cool to watch someone go from their first time in the ring and that hesitancy and that anxiety to seeing them get bigger and bigger opportunities. And I just want to see this kid's career explode. All right, coming in at number 20, we have Willow Nightingale. So you've seen her in AEW, you've seen her in Ring of Honor, you've seen her across a variety of indies and super indies. I love Willow Nightingale. I think she absolutely matters and is necessary in the space of women's wrestling. And that is as someone who brings incredible positivity and joy into the work of wrestling, but is also absolutely brutal in the ring, can get in there and perform in a death match and have a big smile on her face the entire time. I think wrestlers like Willow Nightingale, who have very natural women's bodies, who have natural hair, who present themselves in a space of joy, is such an important form of representation for young black girls who are watching wrestling. I think Willow Nightingale is a phenomenal wrestler, and I have been so happy and excited to see her getting these opportunities at AEW and other places as her career continues to grow. I think Willow Nightingale, for me, is in a very similar space to Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods and Big E, as wrestlers who really are so critical to the changing the cultural identity of how we perceive black character work in wrestling. From there, we have my number one favorite wrestler of all time. The randomizer put him in at number 21, but if you watch the channel, you know he's number one in my heart, in my spirit, in my mind, in the constitution of JJ Landia. It is written in permanent marker, the greatest wrestler of all time, the greatest to ever do it, the one, the only, the one-winged angel himself, Kenny Omega. What can you say about Kenny Omega? What can you say about Kenny Omega? The greatest of all time. That's what you can say. The greatest of all time. His work with the Golden Lovers, his work across DDT in New Japan, the time he put into the great reverence and respect in building his commitment, his understanding, his knowledge of wrestling, his moveset, his commitment, his physicality, his character work, his actual look. The fact that this man lost 12 feet of his guts and was in a hospital bed dying, and they stitched him up, and he just took that time to try to heal, came back too soon, hurt himself worse, had to go out. For a period of time, we didn't know if he was ever going to come back to wrestling again, and not only has he come back, he's come back looking absolutely stronger than ever, the character so strong. I am so bought in to this next chapter of Kenny Omega's career as a wrestler. However much more time we get of his, I am absolutely grateful for. And the day the man retires will be one of the saddest days in professional wrestling. If you're sleeping on Kenny Omega, again, for you, a lot of you, it probably comes back to this weird tribalist idea you have about, oh, I can't like anything that's not WWE. You need to move beyond that, because you're truly missing out on some of the greatest wrestling you will ever see in your life, and you're truly missing out on seeing wrestling movesets that are so much bigger and so much broader and so much more intentional and meaningful than slop. Kenny Omega is the greatest of all time. Number one favorite wrestler. If I was ever going to get a tattoo of a wrestler, which I won't, it would be Kenny Omega. Now, 22 on the list is a legend. You know him, you love him. WWE, WCW, ECW. That's Stone Cold Steve Austin, baby. He is my childhood favorite wrestler. I obviously have watched his career for almost my entire life, because that's how long he's been wrestling. Some of my favorite bits of all time, favorite promos of all time, favorite character works of all time, favorite matches of all time have been Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's just too many things to list as to what makes Stone Cold Steve Austin one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And honestly, I don't think I have to argue with any of you about that. I don't think that is a controversial take. From there, we move into another legend, but from another part of the world. AAA, WCW, CMLL, MLW. This is La Parka or LA Park, depending on what promotion and what time you know the character from. And as one of the most famous luchadors, in my opinion, of all time, the Skeleton himself, often replicated, often ripped off, but the one, the only, La Parka, again, one of the greatest luchadors of all time. Never seen the man in a bad match. Some things are just legacy, right? Some things you've just watched for so long that you hold such a part in your spirit for these wrestlers that it doesn't matter what they do or where they go, you're always going to support. And for me, LA Park / La Parka is one of those wrestlers. Now moving in, another woman on the list, AEW Ring of Honor, across a variety of indies. This is Red Velvet, and Red Velvet is actually the wrestler who knocked John Cena off the list. Sorry, John. I know you're deeply hurt and wounded when you're watching this video in your mansion on your private jet. But yes, Red Velvet, if you're not familiar, is a woman's wrestler. You can see her here on the screen. Great character, great move set. Physicality is so strong. Love the things that she is able to do in the ring. She did spend some time on AEW. I don't know why we haven't seen her on AEW. Tony Khan, you've signed 250 incredible wrestlers and don't have time to showcase all of them, and it's a problem. But she is doing really incredible work over on Ring of Honor, so you can see what she's doing over there. Red Velvet, I think, you know, they had this period of time where Jade Cargill came in, and that's who they decided to push. And I think that was a mistake, because I think they should have continued that push of Red Velvet, because I think she's the exact kind of wrestler with the exact kind of moveset that fits into that women's division. And I really hope that we continue to see her again. Now, another current AEW standout who has been at WWE, Ring of Honor, New Japan, kind of kicked it around everywhere, and that is Claudio Castagnoli. The man is a brick house. He is head to toe, 100% pure muscle. I will never tire of watching Claudio Castagnoli spin people around in the ring by their legs. I love when he shows up with the lucha mask. I love when he's carrying men around like sacks of potatoes. I love when he's smirking in the background of Jon Moxley's excellent promos because they have such history and energy there. I love what he's doing in the Death Riders. I love Claudio Castagnoli. Now, moving on to a New Japan legend who spent some time in WCW, and if you're familiar at all with Japanese wrestling, you know this entry. This is Jushin Thunder Liger, one of the most influential Japanese wrestlers of all time. I don't know what I could tell you that you don't already know, other than if you're not familiar with this person as a wrestler, please, 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 please go immediately and watch 10 to 20 videos of them in the ring. This is someone who really changed the face and the style of Japanese wrestling. And if you call yourself a wrestling fan, I really, really, really need you to get up to date with the work of Thunder Liger. There are moves named after him for a reason. One of your favorite wrestlers, likely favorite wrestlers. And coming in now at 27, you know him from AEW. He spent some time in WWE. You've seen him across a variety of indies. Maybe you're familiar with his music. This is Swerve Strickland. Whose house? Swerve's house. This is Swerve's house for real. Me and my roommate, we love Swerve Strickland. I absolutely think everything Swerve Strickland has done over the last 5 years has been absolutely phenomenal. His work playing against being the foil to Hangman Adam Page is some of the best promo work I've seen of his. He takes it all the way. His pairing with Prince Nana is absolutely exquisite. I think Swerve Strickland was absolutely slept on and disrespected at every step of the way in his career moving up until he got to this point where he is at AEW. And I've been really, really loving seeing him get the opportunities to really breathe out that character work and the work he's doing in the ring. This is someone I will always buy a ticket to see wrestle, Swerve Strickland. And now, you might know her from her earlier time in Ice Ribbon. You might know her from her time now in AEW. This is the Japanese wrestler, Hikaru Shida. If you follow me on some of my other social media, you know super, super, super huge fan of Hikaru Shida. I have been so happy that she's now back in AEW. She had to take some time away because there were some visa issues that are becoming more common with some of these wrestlers as we have issues here in the States. I just love Hikaru Shida. I will take no Shida slander on this channel. I think she is an excellent wrestler. I think she has a very strong moveset. I think she looks incredible in the ring. She wears some of the weirdest ring gear I have ever seen. But yes, Hikaru Shida, I'm very, very happy to see her back. This is a strong beast of a woman, and I really, really, really am looking forward to seeing what she's going to do moving forward in this new storyline. Now, from there is another OG legend. This is someone from my childhood that I have been watching my entire life, and just watched an interview he did with Simon Miller last night on YouTube. This is Paul White, who you might know as the Big Show, the biggest hands on earth. What do you say about Paul White? He's Paul White. He's a wrestling father, right? He's one of those wrestlers I look at and they make me think of my dad, because my dad worked 3 jobs and I was raised by the television, and I spent a lot of time watching these wrestlers, and they hold a special place in my heart. I love Paul White. I want to see Paul White get the retirement run he deserves. The man has had so much surgery on his hips and his legs. He's lost so much weight. He still trains very consistently. I loved him on commentary. I know some people didn't. I loved his dad commentary. I thought it was funny. He asked the most genuine questions, and he gave the most genuine, loving compliments to the wrestlers during every match. Just someone you can tell loves wrestling and loves wrestlers, and I want to see Paul White get the final run of his dreams, whatever that might look like. Now, next we have another Japanese legend, AJW, JWP, a little bit of time in WWF, WCW. This is Akira Hakuto, one of the most prolific, I've said that many times, but one of the most prolific Japanese wrestlers of all time. Someone who brought a certain kind of flair and style of Japanese wrestling into the American mainstream. That was really, really necessary. I think this is someone that the modern wrestling fan overlooks or maybe doesn't recognize as a legend, and I think that is such a shame. So I absolutely want you to go and check out the work of Akira Hakuto, especially the work that they did in Japan. Next, we have the my first episode of Future Greatest of All Time, which is a series I'm going to be starting here on the channel, where I give individual profiles of future GOATs. That first episode is going to be about this person. You know them from Ice Ribbon. You might know them from punching out their boss and getting fired on Stardom. You might know them from their incredible current reign on AEW. This is the Toxic Spider, the Idol Killer, Tekla. just beyond. Tekla is absolutely beyond. Incredible in the ring. Super incredible, cool moveset. Super cool flexibility. On the mic, absolutely one of the best women to do it, in my opinion. That character work she did in Stardom, if you did not watch Stardom, go watch Tekla's time in Stardom. She was absolutely the epitome of what that faction HATE represents. She fit into that world so seamlessly. I love her punk rock mentality. I love that in real life she's a dancer and a musician, and that she grew up kind of in this piss and vinegar mentality of punk rock and art and wrestling. I think she's incredibly cool, incredibly strong physicality. I have been absolutely loving this run she's on in AEW, and I look forward to any and everything she's going to do over the next 10 years of her career. Another super strong female wrestler who I think doesn't get enough credit and enough opportunities. You've seen her in Ring of Honor, in WWE, in AEW, in Impact, and TNA. This is Deonna Purrazzo, a phenomenal independent wrestler. God, I see Deonna Purrazzo show up everything, everywhere, booked and busy. I do not understand. This is another wrestler that I do not understand why Tony Khan has not pushed with more intention. Just phenomenally gifted in the ring, great on the mic, has a great look. I think really represents that legacy of East Coast wrestling, right? That is such a home of wrestling in the United States here, is that kind of New Jersey tri-state area. And I think Deonna Purrazzo represents that indie scene impeccably. I would love to see more of her, and that's why she is on my list. Next, we have, you watched him in the Super Indies, you watched him in Chikara, you've watched him work his way along wrestling up into his time now in AEW. This is a wrestler that's extremely controversial. You either love him or you hate him. I love him, and this is Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy was one of my favorite indie wrestlers to watch. I tracked all of the things he was doing in the most random of indie spots. I've seen Orange Cassidy, excuse me, perform in bars, in UFW halls, on YouTube channels. I think Orange Cassidy is an incredible wrestler. I need you to understand how physically strong someone has to be to pull off much of his moveset and then make it look so simple and so casual. I think the character is absolutely impeccable. I love the video package. I love the music he comes out to. I love his I guess I'm here mentality. I think Orange Cassidy is a future greatest of all time, because when you strip away the character that most people don't seem to understand, is an absolutely powerful wrestler with great physicality and a great move set. Now, 35 on the list is probably the most controversial person that's on the list for real-life controversies. The reason I added that whole disclaimer in the beginning about how their presence on the list is not an endorsement of their personal life, but I would be remiss to act like because of some of this person's personal controversies, they don't hold the place that they do in wrestling for me, and that is the one, the only, the never replaceable Ric Flair. I know, go ahead, flame me in the comments, whatever you're gonna say, you're valid, I see you, and I understand, but I cannot sit here and act like I don't think Ric Flair is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. He is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, whether you like the man or not. The character he delivered in the ring, the intensity he always delivered, the move set, the persona, the promos, the video packages, the lifestyle, the styling and profiling. You know Ric Flair. You know his face. You know his gimmick. You know his obnoxious robes. You know his catchphrases. Even if you don't know wrestling, you know Ric Flair. There are rap songs written about the man. He is part of the lexicon of American culture, for better or worse. And I think at the end of the day, you're either someone who has a special place in your heart that you put your blinders on for, and it's either Hulk Hogan or it's Ric Flair. For me, all day, every day, it is the Nature Boy. So from there, we move into another OG classic, another legend from my childhood, WWE, WCW, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. This is someone that I loved as a kid, okay? This is someone that no matter what, I'm always going to hold a special place in my heart for the Macho Man. I grew up with this. We grew up with this. If you're my age, you grew up with seeing Macho Man not only wrestling, but you saw him in Slim Jim commercials. You saw him hawking Doritos. You saw him selling you Mountain Dew. You saw him, you know, showing his muscles and his tassels and his neon colored clothes and his big hat. You saw him go on the Arsenio Hall show and tell a generation of men that real men cry, that real men feel every emotion, that the Macho Man is a man who's not afraid to feel his feelings. I think this is a critically important wrestler for the history of wrestling. He changed such an important piece of the culture of wrestling. Whether you love him or you hate him, Macho Man Randy Savage is one of my greatest wrestlers of all time. And from there, wow, the list here as we get to the end, they put some of those heavy hitters on the end here, because we have Mick Foley next. You watch the channel, you know I've made videos specifically about Mick Foley before. When I was in high school and I had like really severe depression, I used to go online and I used to talk to people in chat rooms, and I would tell them that Mick Foley was my dad and I lived on the road traveling with him. wrestler. So anyone who might have talked to me back then, I'm so sorry. I absolutely was lying to you. Mick Foley's just a goat. Mick Foley is just a goat. This is a theater kid who realized, oh, you know, I can get a lot of attention if I add some really insane physicality to my theater work. And this is just a theater kid who fell in love with wrestling and then became one of the greatest to ever do it. Some of the greatest matches of all time, some of the biggest moments in wrestling history have centered around Mick Foley. Beyond his work in the ring, Mick Foley is a rare, incredible gem of a human being who is willing to come onto his platforms and tell you straight and direct that he is against racism, that he is against authoritarianism, that he is against kind of the evils that have taken over in the United States over here. Whether you think that is a controversial opinion or not, I don't care. That's my opinion. I think Mick Foley has absolute integrity as a wrestler, as a man. There will never be another Mick Foley. We might get close in Joey Janela as the years go on, but there will never be another Mick Foley. So thank you, Mick. Even though you'll never see this video, thank you for being my secret online dad. Thank you for being one of the greatest to ever do it. Thank you for giving your body to this business. And thank you for continuing to show up for your fans. Truly, truly one of the greatest of all time. Not just as a wrestler, but I think one of the greatest people to ever do it. You know, it wouldn't be a JJ Loves Wrestling video if I don't start crying during it, right? You guys love to tease me about how emotional I get, but you know, that's why I named the channel JJ Loves Wrestling. So we're moving into the end here. We got our last couple of entries on the list. So coming in at 38, JJ's greatest wrestlers of all time. You know him in Gato Move Pro, DDT, Choco Pro, AJPW, and now in WXM where he's doing incredible work. This is the technical master of wrestling, Balian Aki. I talk about Balian Aki quite often on the channel because I cover WXM pretty extensively. One of the most technically gifted strikers in all of wrestling. Just such confidence and such an organic presence in the ring. I love everything he does. I love his kicks, his flips, his aerials. I love the work he does with Mei Suruga as part of their tag team partnership. I just think this is an incredibly strong, gifted wrestler that a lot of folks could learn from in terms of skill set, move set, ring presence. Just very, very technically. I think one of the most technically strong wrestlers for sure at all of WXM. So Balian Aki, if you're not familiar, if you don't know that name, you should go look him up right now. Next, we have the only wrestler whose autograph I have. It's right back there behind me. You can't see it right now. But Ring of Honor, TNA, Impact, AEW did some of the best work against as a foil to Ric Flair ever. The one, the only, the most slept on man in all of professional wrestling, and that is Jay Lethal. I've never seen Jay Lethal in a bad match. Jay Lethal makes every single person he gets in the ring with look incredible. Jay Lethal has absolute top-notch work rate, work ethics. I just think this is someone who is beyond slept on in all of wrestling, and I don't understand why. I love seeing Jay Lethal show up anywhere and anywhere that he can wrestle. In my opinion, Jay Lethal is one of the top 10 wrestlers of all time. That dog doesn't agree, but guess what? It's my birthday and this is my video, so Jay Lethal, thank you. Next, we have entrant number 40. And this is AEW, Shikara, AEW, Beyond, Super Indies, all the indies. This is the one, the only, the buff, the big, the gigantic woman, more than a woman, an alien, in fact, Kris Statlander, Big Stat Daddy. I love Kris Statlander. I've been following Kris Statlander since she looked like she weighed about 110 pounds and was brand new in the ring on the absolute super indies. This is someone, when they came over to AEW, I actually started crying because I was so excited to see Kris Statlander get this opportunity. I love seeing Kris Statlander get her flowers. I think that people underestimate what she can do. I've really been loving recently seeing her kind of breathe into this new character work that she's starting to do. She looks the best she's ever looked, just incredibly strong, a huge, huge heart, just one of those people that I will always root for, and it is so cool to see the success that they're finally getting. And yes, that's it. That should be 40, 40, 40 lovely, greatest wrestlers of all time. In my opinion, some of the greatest to ever do it. But this is a 40 plus 1. I said at the beginning of the video that for prosperity and good luck, I would be adding one additional wrestler to this list. And so without any further ado, number 41, the lucky entrant on JJ's birthday extravaganza, 40 plus 1 greatest wrestlers of all time. And that is the one, the only, the gentle giant, Neil. Neil is someone who I'm familiar with from back when he was doing Wrestle Square. This is someone who came up through the Indian Indies, who is now has a major storyline as one of the pillars on WXM. I love Neil. You know it if you watch the channel. This is one of the most physically strong, best looking wrestlers in the game across any promotion, any country, any wrestling style. Neil looks absolutely incredible, and he does not sacrifice his ability to move in the ring in order to have that bulk. This is someone with one of the most brutal, excellent looking spears I've seen in probably the last 10 years. This is someone who the suplexes, the power moves, can get height off and through the ropes. This is someone who's not afraid to take his big body on a dive. This is someone who can break Chris Adonis' Master Lock challenge. This is a quiet, humble, incredible wrestler who I think, if can stay the trajectory and gets the right opportunities, can be one of the biggest wrestlers in the world, hands down. And when you look at some of the other people on this list, I think that's a pretty big endorsement. So if you're not watching WXM, I absolutely, if you watch nothing else, want you to go over to their YouTube channel, and I want you to watch some of the episodes they have been putting up. They're available up there completely for free, because this is the future of wrestling. Some of the folks in this promotion, I told you about Kevin Malik, I've told you here about Neil, so many other people in that promotion that I think are the future of professional wrestling. And if you're only watching one promotion, if you're only watching WWE, or you're only watching AEW, you're not watching global wrestling, you're not watching indies, you're not looking at and tracking people as they move in these different phases of their career, I would venture to say you don't love wrestling. And that's okay. But I do. And I want to thank you so much for being here with me on my 40th birthday. I know this was a long ramble. I hope you enjoyed. I want to know your thoughts down below. Who do you agree with? Who did you not agree with? Who can you not believe isn't on the list? Who did you hear about maybe for the first time and are going to go check out? I would love to know down below. As always, my name is JJ, and I love wrestling. And I also love you, my little beautiful wrestling community. I'm so happy and so proud to build out this space with you. And I hope that over this next year of my life, I can continue to grow and develop and show you all of the things that I want to share with you right here in this space. And here's hoping that maybe in the next year, you'll get to see me reporting live from one of these beautiful, incredible wrestling promotions. I love you so much. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. Here's to another 40 years.